Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again in this YouTube astrological segment. I'm going to be talking about astrology and insomnia and sleep disorders. Now, the thing about this is insomnia. I mean, and sleep disorders. I'm talking about sleep disorders. I'm talking about just things, just whatever it may be that may be inhibiting you from getting a consistent regular sleep. I know that's regular sleep very subjective. What I'm talking about is, I mean, like if you're having trouble sleeping, you're having sleep disruptions, your sleep is very erratic and sporadic. The things that I look at are like the 12th house is connected with our dreams. I see that as sleep as well. In the unconscious, the fourth house could be connected with the subconscious slash unconscious, and also the moon is the unconscious. Neptune can be about dreams. So those are the things to look at. We have any afflictions with these, that could be an indicator of some sleep disorders. Not right now. As far as my natal chart, I mean, I have Saturn in the 12th house. Saturn in the 12th in times can restrict sleep issues. I mean, can inhibit. Saturn is a planet of restriction. If you have any malefics in the 12th house, sometimes that could be a factor as well. Somebody with Uranus in their 4th house natally could have very erratic and sporadic sleep, and the same could be true, I would say if your Uranus is an adverse aspect to your natal Neptune or moon. I mean, if you're say you have Uranus in adverse aspect to your natal moon, whether it could be a square, in opposition, I would say even in conjunct, I see that as something that could be adverse as well as far as an aspect goes. And say it's especially if it's in a worrisome sign, like you have it in moon in Virgo or restless Gemini. I have a Gemini moon in my chart, as many of you may know, and I have certain restlessness. I mean, my Taurus rising stabilizes that to some degree, because Taurus rising, of course, could be very calm and placid. But the thing about it is, moon in Gemini can have certain restlessness. I take amitriptyline, which helps me with certain insomnia issues. I mean, there was a time like when I ran out of the amitriptyline that I took. I was sleeping like maybe 4 hours a night. If that, I was waking up like every hour or every hour and a half or something, 30 minutes. I mean, my sleep was very sporadic and erratic. What's interesting, my moon in Gemini doesn't make any adverse aspects to planets or even my MC or ascendant, but I have had some issues with sleep. But a lot of that, I think, again, is going back to having Saturn in the 12th house. I have and also transits as well can play a role. If you got I got transit Uranus in my 12th house right now, so that could be an indicator of some sleep disruptions. And I think when you look at this too, and also malefics in the 4th house can play a role. Again, the 4th house can be about our subconscious and unconscious. So when you look at that, if you have like any malefic planets, I would say Saturn, Uranus, even Neptune or Pluto. Mars, a planet of anger. Mars is acrimonious energy. If you've got Mars in your 12th house, that could be where where anger issues might be inhibiting you from getting your sleep. I had someone tell me one time they had if I remember correctly, they had the Black Moon Lilith in their 4th house. And this person said that they were like so angry that they were even having trouble. It made them they were so consumed with anger that it was preventing them from sleeping regularly on a night-to-night basis, if I remember correctly. And the thing about it is, I mean, you could have somebody's got the Black Moon Lilith in their 4th house. This could be very dark energy, and it could be some situations at home that could be causing some issues. If it's some nefarious activity from one or more of the family members or someone you're close to home with. Pluto in the 12th house, I could see is even in some cases where somebody could have like nuclears, because remember Pluto is connected with what's nuclear, and this could be very destructive. I mean, dreams or it might even obliterate or wipe out sleep in some cases. I mean, because remember that Pluto is about obliteration, destruction, while Saturn can inhibit and restrict. Pluto it just can flat out destroy. And if you have some things in your, you see, and there's also energy that could be indirect that can affect somebody in terms of their sleep. If you have aspects or something in your chart which indicates that you're not really able to, just say you're in a debilitated state and you have certain issues that might prohibit you from, say, working out or exercising vigorously and consistently, and you're fairly sedentary, that could play a role as well. I mean, lack of sleep is not just limited to afflictions with the 12th house, 4th house, Neptune, or the moon. It can be some indicators in your own chart that might indicate that you might be somewhat more sedentary as opposed to active. And of course, when you're not expending an overabundance or surfeit of energy, that could lead to lack of sleep. If you're not doing that much, you might be, that could be about sleep disorders as well. Say, like in my case, I have Uranus on my, almost exactly conjunct my 6th house cusp in my natal chart. And you're thinking, well, what does that have to do with anything with sleep, Edwin? Well, the thing about it is I have extensive irrevocable nerve damage, and Uranus can be connected with the nerves, with electricity, with shocks. I've had very bad nerve damage where I've even felt like some shock sensations at times in my body. And the thing about it is that has restricted me from doing working laboriously or doing many as far as work goes, and it just really I've been somewhat sedentary. I have also issues as far as walking for prolonged or protracted periods, so I even have a hard time expending energy doing that. So that could be also factoring into me with some issues of some kind of mild insomnia case. Now, I mean, I believe there can be varying degrees of insomnia and sleep disorders, of course, but anyway, and the thing about it too, it also, I mean, and I also have Uranus making a square to my Mercury, so that could give sometimes nerve damage, I would say, like with the hands and arms, because Mercury can be connected with that. And really, those are some elements to look at as far as having issues connected with insomnia or sleep disorders. Now, and also you can, I mean, as I stated before, even if your chart looks like it's a chart where you have where you look like you don't feel like you have anything that's as far as major, as far as something that could impact your sleep adversely, it doesn't mean you couldn't be impacted by transits or progressions at a later point in time. And just like in my case, like having a chart that has some indicators for some difficulties with sleep, it doesn't mean that I can't have some improvement with that at some point in time. Now, like with me, in my progress chart, I have Uranus and Pluto in the 4th house of the unconscious, and that is not helping matters as far as sleep goes. But let's say I get a transit at some point, like say transit Jupiter making a sextile or trine to my natal moon, or even my Neptune, that could help out and to some degree as far as some sleep issues go, or even transit Jupiter hitting the 12th house or the 4th house. Those are some, I mean, there could be some positive energy and connection with sleep at that time. And anyway, I mean, those are some things to look at as far as astrology and sleep disorders go. And as I've stated before, if you have the moon and or Neptune strongly afflicted, there could be some issues with that as well. And I would think even if something is making an adverse aspect to your 4th or your 12th house cusp, somebody that has their natal Saturn an adverse aspect to their moon or their Neptune, this could be about some anger issues that might be keeping that person from sleeping properly, and even And even like Mars in the fourth, not just because the fourth can be about our subconscious slash unconscious, but say if you have Mars, even Mars in Cancer can have some indirect effect, because somebody, I have Mars in Cancer, and if your Mars is in Cancer, of course, it's in its fall, and this could be about certain contentious situations on the home front, or even trying to survive and subsist can be an actual, feel like a perpetual battle. And sometimes when you like I stated before, you could have energy that's indirect that can have an impact on your sleep, in your life, and even through synastry with somebody else, that can, some negative synastry. If you have somebody in there, say something in their chart, say they have a malefic and it's in your 12th or your 4th house, for example, somebody's Saturn is in your 12th house, there could be something with them that they're bringing up some negativity in you, your limitations, and it could be causing some limitations in your sleep. Or someone's Mars hitting is in your 12th house, they could be doing something that's causing some kind of anger or agitation on you that is actually might be affecting your sleep as well. So those are, or even someone, in another indirect example, someone's Neptune in your 6th house could be causing some chaos and confusion in your daily routine or your employment, and that could be doing something where it could be doing something to you which might be causing some issues as far as your sleep goes as well. So I mean, anyway, those are some things to look at as far as astrology and insomnia slash sleep disorders go. Anyway, people, until next time, this is Edwin Learnard saying stay well.